Rugby World Cup Team of the Week for the semi-finals, folks. We now know it's going to be All Blacks Springboks in the final, which is something of a clash of the Titans as our probably biggest traditional rival, at least during my lifetime. But yeah, the semi-finals, two very different games. We'll go through them, pick 15 guys, a few honourable mentions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on who you would have if you were picking a Team of the Week. And if you're starved of some rugby content between now and the big old games this weekend, check out NZR Plus. They've got a bunch of kind of behind-the-scenes content there, including the All Blacks players' reaction to their big win over the Pumas. They've had Skulk Brits on their Front Row Daily Show. There's a bunch of other kind of documentary-style stuff on there, including a pretty heartfelt one, honestly, that me and Tony watched a while back where Fozzie was really under the pump and almost got the sack. It actually makes you feel for the guy, despite the fact that a lot of us were putting the boot in at the time. But yeah, NZR Plus, it's free, and it's down in the description. Not just for those of us who live in New Zealand. It's available everywhere. So, happy days. Props. I'm going to start with a South African and a bench player, because it was the bench that made the difference in old Oxen Che. Now, when you look at his stats, it doesn't really paint a fair picture of the man's shift. Often is the case with props. 2 runs, no meters, 5 from 7 tackles, doesn't concede any penalties, but boy did he inflict some damage at scrum time. Without that scrummaging shift from him and his mates, no way South Africa win that game. They were down and the scrum got them back into the game, and then it got them the winning of the game. So that scrum penalty they win helps win them the game. That penalty on their own line, which gets them out of dodge, helps win them the game. Yeah, you need to give a big pat on the back. I know Pollard gets man of the match, but yeah, give that guy some cake, because he likes his cake, does old Oxen Che. And I've gone a man he may end up scrummaging against in the World Cup final is old Tyrell Lomax from the All Blacks. Also put in a pretty good shift scrummaging-wise. Remember that Aaron Smith try? All on the back of a scrum, which gets good go forward, it gets good advantage, and then, allows Savia to give it to Smith, who's able to scamper over. So the scrummaging was excellent from him as well, and he's going to be a key man, you would imagine, up against the Springboks. He had 8 runs, 8 meters, and a pass, which was, I think, a pretty little quick hands pass in the build-up to one of the tries early on. He went close himself to a try before Frizzell's second, but couldn't quite burrow over. He had 11 from 12 tackles, which is a great shift. He did concede 1 penalty, but yeah, overall, Tyrell Lomax scrummaging the house down. Hooker was kind of I don't want to say an easy one, but Cody Taylor, he played pretty well. Whereas all the other teams had issues with lineouts and weren't maybe able to make the same impact. Like Cody Taylor finishes with 8 runs for 15 metres, which is a really busy work rate. He also gets in there and does his clearing out, which is kind of what he's known for. It's what his job is. I mean, after Talea has a big carry, it's Taylor who's first man on the spot, clear them out and allow Frizzell to get a try. So, yeah, that's what he's in the team for, not just lineouts and whatnot. He's supposed to be doing all the tough stuff. He has 2 passes and offload. He's 100% with his tackles, 11 from 11. Doesn't concede any penalties. The All Blacks lineout is at 94%. So, yeah, everything went pretty well for Cody Taylor. All the other sides seem to have issues at lineout time, so well done from him. Locks. I've gone with one of the English players, an old Maro Itoje. Maybe back to some of his best form after starting the competition a little bit quietly. 8 runs for 9 metres is pretty typical for Maro, who's, like most locks, around about the 1 metre or 2 metres per carry rate. So nothing startling there, but it's defensively and at line-out time where he really shows his worth. He has 9 from 9 tackles. 100% is always great. Doesn't concede any penalties, which is something he gets a lot of stick for. He wins 2 turnovers. He wins a line-out steal. He wins 2 throws on English ball. He even has 4 passes and an offload in the game, which was not really known for its offloads. But yes, a big defensive shift. Almost got it done for England, but not quite. And one of the reasons they didn't get it done was this man coming off the bench, old Achia Snyman. Goodness me, big call to sub Big Eben for Snyman, but it proved to be the right one. He's the guy who gets the try. And with that game, the ball seemingly being as slippery as a bar of soap, Snyman is the one guy who just seemed to be like, no, this is fine. Maybe he's just got huge hands that doesn't really notice that the ball is so greasy because he can just grip it so well. But he gets a try, the only try of the game. He wins the line-out as well that he gets the try from, which is insane, you know. Up, catches the ball. Dion Ferry powers close in the next phase. Snyman's able to go over. He almost gets kind of held up, but he's able to kind of twist and get the ball down to his side. So great handling considering how tough that ball was for most people to handle. He has only 4 runs for 4 meters, so he didn't go that far, but he beat 2 defenders pretty much on the way to the try line. He has 5 passes and 2 offloads. Did you know how many offloads South Africa had in that entire game? It was 2, and they were both Snyman. 7 from 9, at least according to the stats. 7 from 9 tackles, 3 line-out wins, doesn't concede any penalties. Talk about impact. I think you got to talk about Archie Snyman. Loose forwards, I've gone with Courtney Laws, despite the fact that there was another guy in his position who scored 2 tries. Again, like Itoje, big defensive shift from Courtney Laws, but also clocked up some run meters, like 10 runs for 43 meters in that game. He's second most run meters of the entire game. Courtney Laws had more run meters than Cheslin Colby. You wouldn't think that going into the game, but he did. 3 passes from him. Also wins 3 lineouts. He's pretty secure at lineout time. 5 from 6 tackles. Like Itoje, he wins 2 turnovers. Like Itoje, he wins a lineout steal. And like Itoje, he doesn't concede any penalties. So really, really top shift from the big man. He's another one who's kind of, what's he, like 34? One of the senior guys in the team really standing up. Got his team bloody close, but not quite. Another loose forward, I've gone with another New Zealander. It's Sam Cane, who's suddenly a lot of All Blacks fans' favourite player, despite the fact that he's been a guy who got a bit of stick over the years. Defensively solid, very typical Sam Cane performance, man. 8 runs, 6 metres, beats a defender. There's nothing too flash about that, especially when you compare him to the guy he always gets compared to, an old Ardie Savia, but he has 3 passes and then 14 from 14 tackles, despite the fact that the All Blacks won that one pretty comfortably on the scoreboard. They did a lot of tackling, especially early. 185 odd tackles in that game. Springboks, I think, made like 108 last time I checked. So a lot of tackling. And he won 2 turnovers. He does have 1 turnover conceded, but man, that's what Sam Cane's been doing really well in this recent run of form for the All Blacks. Bunch of tackles, which he always does. Threat at the breakdown. Exactly what you want from the man leading at the front. And speaking of the guy he often gets less favourably compared to, Ardie Savia does Ardie Savia stuff. He ends up getting a try assist because of course he does, but he didn't get on the board himself this week. But he has 8 defenders beaten, which is phenomenally, he's a hard man to stop. 16 runs for 35 metres. In terms of his meterage per carry, it's not actually that high for Ardie Savia, but he's still getting some go forward. He's got 15 passes. Goodness me, he likes to get his hand on the ball. Remember the try assist is for the Aaron Smith one from the back of that scrum. He wins a couple of lineouts and 19 from 19 tackles. He is an absolute machine. 1 turnover conceded like Sam Cane, but yeah, he played the full 80, so hopefully he's still got plenty of gas in the tank for the final. But that is your forward pack. I would say, off the top of my head, and the notes that I've taken, which is the opposite of the top of my head, some honourable mentions to Groot and Koch for both the All Blacks and Springboks were really good. George Martin for England was great, defensively solid. So was Franco Mostert for the Boks. The New Zealand locks were pretty good. Frizzell got a couple of tries, and I've not picked him. I've picked Laws. So, yeah, you could go for a bunch more guys. Dion Ferry was fantastic from the bench. So, yes, heaps of other guys you could go for there. Facundo Issa, actually, was one of the better ball-carrying guys from Argentina as well. Scrum half, I went with the try-scoring Aaron Smith. Great wee try. He's in a bit of a try-scoring run. Old Aaron Smith, not something he's been traditionally known for. It's his quick passing game, but we saw that. 73 passes and a lot of quick ball. He's got his forwards to thank for the cleaning out they're doing and giving him that platform to supply that quick ball. But it's great quick ball, gets the All Blacks going forward. He has 5 runs, 32 metres. A clean break beats 2 defenders, which is pretty much the try, the wee snipe and the wee dummy. 3 from 3 tackles, wins a turnover. Yeah, when he's on fire and the All Blacks forwards are able to get up front dominance, then he's just a kid in a candy store, isn't he? So, yeah, good shift from the veteran. And then I had to go with the South African, old Andre Pollard, for for fly half because, I mean, he comes on and he makes a difference, doesn't he? Not only does he kick the 49-metre winning penalty, but he's got a penalty before that and the conversion from the try. The conversion from the try was a pressure kick, man. You've seen guys in similar situations from similar positions of kick they would normally get fluff their lines under that pressure to get the game within a goal kick, and it's very important that he gets it. He gets it, so 8 points from him. 4 runs for 6 metres, beats a defender is not exactly startling numbers. 4 passes, but 8 kicks from hand. Makes both his tackles 2 from 2. 1 quick line out 1. But like as soon as he got on the field, I think he was clearing out a ruck. So yeah, really, really clutch performance from him to get his team the winning of the game. Likewise, on the back of some forward dominance from the bench guys that came on. So those backs, they need the forwards, eh? Midfield is kind of it's kind of an easy one to pick because the midfielders in the England South Africa game barely touched the ball. So I've gone with Jordie Barrett. He scores a try. He's out wide on the right wing, powers over some of the Argentinian defenders. It's great. He's got 14 runs for 50 metres, which is a good return. He got a clean break. He beats a couple of tacklers. 13 passes, so good involvements. He wins a turnover. He makes 17 tackles, misses 5, which is a little bit too high, but concedes a penalty. Exit kicking, I think, could use a bit of work from the All Blacks. Jordie Barrett's got a big old boot, so he needs to get a little bit more distance on those kicks, but overall, he was pretty good and a pretty good All Blacks performance. And likewise, Rieko Ioane. There's not a heck of a lot of competition. I thought the All Blacks midfielders were better than the Pumas midfielders, and as I said, the other guys didn't really touch the ball. They made a few tackles, but that was kind of it. So Rieko makes 7 from 7 tackles, so he's 100%, which is something people give him a bit of stick about. He's got a clean break where he turnover ball, gets some proper meterage, so 7 runs, 44 metres, beats a couple of defenders. He got 3 passes and offload, so yeah, didn't have to do that much to make Team of the Week, but it's enough from old Rieko. I managed to get a Puma in the team, and old Mateo Carreras. Now you might have to hear me out on this one because you might think, man, they didn't score any tries. What did he do? Well, individually, he is an absolute game breaker. He finishes with 8 defenders beaten. The Pumas as a team had 23, so he's got about a third. In a 23-man team, he's got about a third of them. Argentina had 6 clean breaks. He had 3. So you expect your wingers to get some, but to have 50% of your team's clean breaks, he's sharp. He's really sharp. 12 runs, 87 metres, couple of passes. He wins a quick line out. He still looks like the most dangerous attacking weapon in that Pumas backline, even in a day where they were having a pretty hard day at the office. 6 from 7 tackles, sadly for him. That missed tackle is the one on Smith where he goes over for a try. But, I still think Mateo Carreras looks like a weapon. If they can get more out of him, then the Pumas would be in a better place. But he's still got 1 game to go. Right winger, Will Jordan. Managed to finish off a couple of nice tries, man. He just happened to be there on the right wing for 1. He happened to be there on the left wing for another and got a bloody nice chip and chase for his hat-trick. Adi Savio put him into a nice gap. Question mark about whether that final pass was forward, but yeah, he was robbed by Mo'unga as well. Mo'unga could have given him a 4th if he'd shipped the ball wide, but man, 3 tries, not a bad shift. He finishes with 3 defenders beaten, 3 clean breaks, 78 metres from 8 runs, 5 from 6 of his tackles. He also assists one of the tries to Jordie Barrett on the right wing. Will Jordan makes magic happen. What can I say? He's going to be, you would feel, a pretty key man up against the box. And then lastly, I've finished with an Englishman, an old Freddie Stewart. I do feel for him because that last up and under he put up was not big enough. And they ended up being knock on each way. Ended up being a scrum. The scrum ended up being a penalty. Penalty ended up being the game. So you could trace that one back to him, but I mean, his props have got a question to answer there. It's not just about him. So sure, the kick could have been deeper, but overall, he handled those kicks from the box really well. I don't know why they kept kicking it to him, because he was eating them for breakfast. A lot of them were uncontested as well, but given how much trouble we saw everybody else seem to have with this game with the high balls, I thought Freddie Stewart did really well. He finishes with 9 runs, 46 metres, and 4 defenders beaten. England only had 14 defenders beaten, so for Stewart to have 4 is pretty solid. 4 kicks from hand, 2 passes. Like I said, just that one last kick kind of sours it a little bit, but overall, I thought he was pretty good. So there you go, 15 guys. Team of the week, honourable mentions for the backs, Alex Mitchell. bloody good for England at number 9. Likewise, Faf de Klerk came on, made a bit of difference. Tom Curry, I forgot to mention him with the forwards tackling machine for England. Mo'unga set up some moves for the All Blacks, but blew that last one. The goal kicking certainly needed work. Farrell, despite the fact that he got marched 10 metres, which also you could argue cost his team, kicked a really sweet drop goal and overall ran the show pretty well. Talia on the left wing was good for the All Blacks. He would probably be most people's picks, I would say, on the left wing. But yeah, Bodie Barrett was pretty good at 15. The wingers in the other game didn't really see that much ball, so kind of harder to pick them a little bit. Willems ended up getting subbed. LaRue knocked it home when he came on, wasn't able to kind of add that same impact, but yeah, there you go. Team of the week, folks. And remember, there's rugby content over on NZR Plus. Link down in the description, so do check that one out between now and the World Cup third place game and final. You guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.